And we're live.
Hey everyone.
Hi. I feel like I start every single call going, we're live.
Hi.
Is it going to get boring for you?
It's a catchphrase. We are here with the wonderful Peggy from Pigeon Letters. Thanks for being with us, Peggy.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm super excited to hang out today.
So everyone, as usual, please let us know if you can hear and see us okay in the comments. Just to make sure, because we've had some technical issues today, as per usual. There's always something.
The technical gremlins.
Sounds
great.
Good.
Everyone can
Amazing.
Hear us. Peggy, we might have explained there's a little delay on the comments sometimes. So if you say a hilarious joke and it's crickets, wait 10 seconds and then they're going to be cracking up.
Happens to Tom all the time. So
exactly. Mainly in the office, but yeah.
I would hope so because I'm hilarious. So nobody would ever be usually.
So we've nearly missed the most crucial part. But first of all, we just want to properly welcome Peggy to the show. So everyone in the office, let's show some love. What are you going to be sharing today with the community?
So everything that I believe in and the reason that I launched doing what I do, in the sense of sharing it with people and educating, is due wholly in part to, excuse me for the situation, is for being authentic and being genuine. And I think that too often we have a mask of feeling, or we have a feeling that we need to mask what is happening in here. My drink is too hot still.
It's good. Well, at least we're making you give a 20-minute presentation, which will be great for your voice.
No, but yeah, so like authenticity is just crucial to, really any aspect of what we're doing, but especially in this particular world that we all exist in, because there's so much fear and of territory and of not making it so far and all these things. So basically I just want to kind of go over everything that I have learned and experienced and whatnot, and how it's all worked in my favor due to always 100% staying authentic to what I need, what I want, who I am, and then also connecting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And for everyone watching, I'm not texting my friend. I'm bringing up Peggy's Instagram.
I was just thinking, Tom, they can see your phone, right?
But yeah, Peggy, at this point, I know it's not all about the followers, but you really have amassed this incredible community. You've got 194,000 people following you on Instagram.
That's amazing.
You've built a successful business around your passion. So I'm really excited to have you on. And everyone who's here watching live will be able to learn a whole lot because you've been there, you've done that. You've built a successful community and business around your passion. So I think everyone should be taking notes today.
Yeah, I'm just going to, just before we jump in, I'm actually just going to hook up your Instagram in the little link below for people to check you out if they haven't already. So give me 2 seconds. Let me just pop that in.
Yeah,
I'm going to get really close to the camera now, sorry.
No. The following is interesting, and I think that it's for sure mostly in part to putting myself out there as who I am with no apologies. But people want what's relatable. I just love following Tom. So Tom and I just met a few months ago, and oh my gosh, how refreshing to see the content that you put out into the world, because people need to it's just something so simple, but it's relatable, and that's what everybody needs.
Yeah, and I think you do a great job of that. And when we had our first call, I think I came out and said to the team, I was like, I think I've just met the female me.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
Right?
I didn't realize that was
Peggy.
I do remember you saying that, actually.
Oh, that makes
me so it was really refreshing to chat.
Yay, I'm so glad. Oh.
Also, can I just say, me and the team have been crushing over your tattoos. Totally unrelated. But when we were looking at your Instagram, I was like, wow, look at her tattoos. They're really cool.
I have a couple. They're all very old. I'm surprised they stay bright.
They look
so they really are. Good color.
Yeah.
You get some love in the comments. Peggy, so everyone, please remember, get your questions in the Ask a Question area, and they're going to build up throughout this chat. But are you ready to dive in and share some value?
Yeah, totally.
Amazing.
And
Could
you
you
guys,
put together a presentation very kindly?
I do. I'm gonna segue into it, but first I want to give a little just a spiel that comes out of my mouth very organically and very unprepared, which may work in our benefit and may not, and that's
Yeah,
fine.
we love that.
But but that's just how I roll. Um, but that's a part of it, right? So I guess the main thing, it's questions are hard. Like the main things that I get questions about are, you know, from my experience, how do you grow your Instagram following, or how do you make it as a designer? How do you do all these things? So has anybody read? I just picked up this book, so if I'm referencing it completely out of reference, then cool. Don't judge me for it. It's literally just like the first chapter that I read, and by that I mean like the first 7 because they're a page long each. Burn Your Portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I know one.
So it's like, it's interesting so far because he talks about, you know, like obviously portfolios are important, but like it's talking about people skills, and it's talking about being somebody who is able to make an impact just in presenting yourself. Maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, this was pointless that I brought that up, but it's fine. Not pointless. Need more volume from me.
Oh yeah. I know you just increased it on your system preferences. Have we got any more that we could give it?
It's all the way up.
Okay. What we've done, guys, we've got it on full volume. So if you haven't, I would crank it up as much as you can. We're hearing you okay. It's not crazy loud, but it's definitely audible.
Okay. I will project my voice. I'm very good at that.
Just be shouting for the next hour.
I'm just gonna yell, as if, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that because I got my throat thing.
Yeah.
But okay, so my point though is that, you know, there is something to say about being charismatic, but I think that more than anything, there's something to say about being authentically you. And you don't have to be a major extrovert like some of us are, because at the end of the day, people want to be able to relate. And so however you present, I don't know what it is that everybody does, but whether it be in your personal life or whether it be in your creative life or whether it be in your social media, give people a reason to want to buy into what you're saying. You know, it's not, it's just by being real. It's funny because we put so much pressure on ourselves that, you know, we have to post something. And I do it. Like I would lie if I said I didn't, but I find myself less looking for content to post and more of like, how can I make this caption a thing? And it's a little bit silly because it's like, well, what do you know, you go through the process of wondering, well, what do I want to say? What do I want to put together in these couple sentences? It's really going to spark interest. And yeah, you do want to think that way, but more than anything, it's like maybe less forced and maybe more authentic about like, hey, what's your thought process? What did you go through this morning? What happened yesterday that somebody can have a good laugh about, you know? And putting yourself into the world as an actual human being. One of my biggest pet peeves, and I'm so sorry if this offends anybody, I'm seriously one of those word vomit people, but hopefully it won't. I get it. If you do this, it's cool. I get it. But the thing that bothered me for so long when I started my business is when on social media, everyone that you know is a lone horse calls themselves we.
Yeah.
You guys, it makes me cringe. I'm like, you know, it's just you back there. Like, what are you trying to prove right now? Like, everybody's cool with you just being you. You don't have to have a team. And like, teams are great, but like, when you have if you're a designer and you do this art piece and it's like, we have a new print, and it's like, you're the artist. Like, the account is an artist.
Yeah.
You guys don't have any, I don't know, it bugs me.
No, that's really weird because I literally just put out an episode about this exact thing myself.
Really?
And I was guilty of it when I was, I don't know, 14 or 15, where you're pretending to be like Globo Corp Design Solutions or whatever.
Yeah.
And not only is it fine to be me instead of we, but people can see through it. If you're pretending to be this big team, but you're not, anyone who's got intelligence can cut through that pretty easily. Yeah. And so it actually damages you, I think. So there is nothing wrong with being an independent designer or creative. Some of the most successful people we work with own being independent, and that doesn't hurt them at all.
Also, from a customer side of view, like I like to know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Like when people don't sign off with their name, that really annoys me. If you are part of the team, like tell me who I'm talking to. If there's hundreds of you, then I still want that one-on-one relationship with whoever I'm talking to. I don't just want to get this global, group message. And also, if I'm going to talk to you regularly and then someone else is going to come back, am I talking to the same person that I spoke to last time or not? Like,
yeah,
I want to know who I'm talking to.
By the way, let us know in the comments. Are we cut off?
Yeah, I know normally me and Tom are
Peggy,
just shoulders.
Are we cut off or are we in frame?
You look great.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, stop,
thanks,
Barbara.
Timing.
So, yeah, Peggy, I would love to see this presentation. We got a little glance before we went live. Are you happy to share?
I would love to.
Awesome.
Let me open that up. The thing about We Too that I'll just mention is like the other thing is it seems much less approachable. It seems like if you wanted as a customer, you were saying if you wanted to push yourself into that world and reach out to somebody, it's almost like you don't feel as confident doing so because they're not as what you said. Okay. Let me get into this now. I'm going to be talking to you. Go ahead.
I was just going to remind everyone to, I can just see somebody else has just asked a question. So shout out to you, Amy, for getting yours in nice and early. But if anyone else has got any questions, just don't forget to leave them below whilst Peggy's doing her presentation.
Cool. So you guys, this isn't so much on authenticity so much as it is like social media, the good and the bad, things that will help you in your business and the things that will help you in the silent partner of that, which is our mental health, which will very loudly reach to your authenticity. So I want to kind of give you a quick rundown on the things that I've experienced in that journey myself. So I'm going to head on over her. Sorry if you see all the crazies on my screen. I tried to make it just perfect for you.
Have a quick idea.
Cool. And I will make this smaller because I like everything to be giant.
And it's nice and sharp.
Yeah, that's really good.
For everyone looking at it.
Oh, great. Great news. Okay. So
Looks
social media. This is an old screenshot. But so I've clearly grown my following and I've done it just by maintaining myself. There's two important touch points that I mentioned, and that is business and then mental health. Social media and business, I'm just going to quickly go over the good and the bad of it. The first one that I want to talk about is the algorithm. So this is something that, can be a blessing in disguise, or it can be something that really hinders you. I think that it depends on the mindset. Back in the day, you used to have to post 5 times a day if you wanted anybody to see it because it was all on timeline, which I appreciated because, if you wanted to have a flash sale, it would be relevant. Whereas if you wanted to do it now, it would be showing up in 6 days and then you have to come at you. Which, it is what it is. But algorithm can work in your benefit and it might not as well. I'll get into that more later. Negative reviews are always a thing. We have very little control over what's shared on our behalf and what we're tagged in. People generally like complaining. I don't see this very much in the art world, however. So in the creative world, you usually have a really good camaraderie across the board. The one thing about the possibility of being misunderstood can really affect us. I had an issue once where I run another account called Botanical Line Drawing, and it's resharing everybody's work for botanical line drawing to get other artists to kind of come to the surface. And when I say I run it, I mean I did. And then I became a we, and I actually taught my assistant how to kind of see what I'm seeing and kind of repost the things that I would want to have stand out on that account. The problem is there was a time that she had pulled from an account that was also a share account, and so the artist was not properly credited. In that case, my Instagram, my email, everything just started blowing up within like 10 minutes, and all these people were shaming me, and it got really ugly really fast. And so I had to go in and fix that, which wasn't, we're all human, we make mistakes, but some people, especially living on the internet, don't understand that as much. And so it can get kind of ugly, but you just kind of have to have thick skin about being misunderstood and just make sure that you put yourself out there in a way that you can, just have people relate to the fact that like, hey, that was a huge mistake. How funny that we can laugh this off. Also, you should definitely check out this artist because they're awesome. You can risk copycats. This is a huge one that everyone is very, very afraid of. And my bottom line at the end of the day is, would you rather, if you want to put your designs out there, if you want to put what you're doing out into the world, do you want to hide it because you're afraid of you haven't gotten a copyright on that particular piece, even though you make 5 pieces a day? Is that realistic? Or do you want to put it out into the world? That's just one of the things that could happen. It's time consuming, social media. So where do you divide your time? What platforms do you want to use? There's Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. There's more, Dribble, all the things, but each has its own benefit for particular target audiences and leads. So that's something that you have to figure out what works for you. What I typically like to do is give myself, this is going to sound very strict, but I like to give myself 10 minutes as a daily max for each platform. So that's going to include responding to comments. That's going to include my actual posts. It's going to include all the things, and that it might not start off that way because it seems, but you get into a rhythm. And the reason why I like to do this is because let's say you have this idea that you want to create and you go on Pinterest for just a little more inspiration, and then you end up using all of your time. And by all of your time, I mean, we've all sat there in the 3-hour Pinterest trap. Like, we've done it.
The rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Then all the time that you thought you were going to be creating, you actually were just continuing to feel like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that, because it ends up being kind of a comparison trap. And then nothing is created after all, because you just wasted all your time on social media. So, yeah. So, and 10 minutes a day is not going to work for everyone. Me, as an addictive personality, I had to be strict with myself. And that's still while responding to all of my messages. So like, it's tough,
You're putting
yeah,
pressure on yourself there, Peggy.
a little bit. Yeah. The other one is competition. And, that comes in part with, what's popular in the industry right now. Are you trying to fight over the same thing? Well, if you're staying authentic to yourself, do you want to follow trends? You might, but you also might not. And you might want to figure out what makes you stand alone on your own, The good about it in business is that you have increased brand awareness. It's one-stop eye candy. You have 2 seconds to grab somebody's attention. And so you can choose to take that where you want it to go, and it's free, cost effective. So you can represent yourself in one place with ease without spending a penny, which is really effective.
I find that hard to believe. Like, when are they going to start charging us? Do you know what I mean? Like, it is the way the world's going, so they're going to have to make money out of us at some point.
Well, and that's kind of what the algorithm is doing. It's having you. It's promoting promotions. They want you to buy sponsored posts. They want you to do all this stuff, and if you don't have instant engagement, then your post isn't going to show up to everybody.
And I think that's a good point, because everyone gets so up in arms about the algorithm, and I feel it. Like, it's frustrating, and I don't necessarily like it, but at the same time, it's free. A little over a decade ago, none of these platforms existed. We had no opportunity to really talk to each other in these ways, or get these big audiences, or share our work. So 15 years ago, we would have killed to get a tenth of the reach that we're getting now, because that just would have been the craziest concept in the world. But people cry over the fact that it's gone slightly backwards. I think they need to focus on the bigger picture. There's so much opportunity still.
I still kind of wish we got given an option though. Like, I don't get to see any of my friends or family anymore because they're not like massively popular on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not boosting their posts. I actually care about. I don't get to see their posts.
Turn on post notifications.
Well, yeah, but that's a bit creepy, isn't it? Just like, notify me.
I did a lot of research about this, and they say, and it kind of makes sense, but the problem is it doesn't really change unless you make hard actions. But it's who you engage with the most, who you're talking to, who you're commenting on, who you're liking, things like that. That's who you're going to see first. And the thing that kills me is that, you know, some people's engagement is awesome and their insights are awesome, but yeah, I might have almost 200,000 followers, but my posts are only seen to 10% of those people.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's shocking, isn't
Seen
it?
by, shown to, seen by, yeah. The next thing is it's free advertisement. But the reviews and reposts, you know, talking about negative reviews, we don't really get a lot of those, hopefully, in our industry, but the reposts and the reviews and people that are calling you out, you know, I have books out, and when people share that, that's word of mouth is your most valuable reach.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It also can help establish loyalty with audiences, with responses and whatnot. With, you know, for brand loyalty, you're able to respond to them, you're able to interact with them, and you're able to build community, which, like Tom said, you know, like that's not something that we've always been able to do. So that's really valuable. We also have the opportunity to keep our authenticity and reputation management, so you can represent yourself or your brand exactly the way that you want to, and then connect to your target audience directly. And so that's, you know, that's some quick stuff with business. These are just things to think about. I mean, it's stuff that we all know, but it's nice to just kind of bullet point it for ourselves. But the thing that's more important to this whole thing, and that will totally bring this in and intertwine, is the social media and mental health, because we care a lot. Thick skin or not, people in the creative industry are affected by social media, period. So we do. Yeah. The bad and good in social media and our mental health can balance out, and we can focus more on the positive if we're mindful and cautious about how we use it. The big thing that we talked about is the refresh trap, and sitting there and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So that can, you know, while inspiration is a great motivational drive, it often crosses that fine line of comparison and envy, and our inspiration turns into delusion, which is kind of gross to think about. And then it ends up going into the like, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not that good, or I don't have original ideas. And then we go into this comparison trap. It's all a trap, but you have to remember that we on the internet only see the very best of what others have and are doing.
Yeah.
We don't see behind the scenes, and we don't see that nasty stuff. And I'll tell you this, if you put yourself out there and you put the ugly out there, oh my gosh, not only are you going to feel so much better because you have people relating, but suddenly you're building an, you know, a very organic relationship with your audience, which is great.
I've got a great example of that, Peggy. So
yeah,
I got off a call with, you know, Ian Barnard, the letterer. So got off a call with Ian a couple of hours ago.
Ian?
Everyone knows Ian.
I love Ian.
Ian's great.
I've never talked to Ian, but I feel like we're best friends.
I need to introduce you. He's a very, very nice guy. We're hanging out in Birmingham next week, which should be fun. But one of his most popular posts in terms of engagement was when he was trying to draw on a hat, and whatever weird pen he was using exploded, and it just like ruined the whole design. And then he shared it anyway. Yeah. And that level of authenticity, being like, stuff goes wrong for me too. Yeah. I don't always get it right. And people love that. They're like, I thought you were like not human until you shared this because you're so perfect normally.
Yeah, it is so easy to forget that that is selective posts that have been edited. They have been, you know, out of that one that you might have posted, there's probably 5,000 on your camera roll that didn't make it. It's so easy to forget that that is just a very small section of someone's life and not their whole world.
Yeah. One of the things, a really good example of this, and this is what I love so much, you guys, I'm obsessed with Cirque du Soleil. I've seen almost all the shows. I know they get repetitive after a while because it's like, well, I've seen this. But when they mess up, it's the coolest thing in the world, because you see like the absolute talent that the live musicians have, because they just go on this loop just very easily. You don't even notice a change, and then these people just redo until they get it right. And then the fact that they do that instead of just moving on really brings the audience in and like lets you experience that with them. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
We actually, in my gym that I go to, we've got a guy who works for Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, really?
And he is ridiculous. He's just like quite a small guy, but he's doing like push-ups with one hand whilst his body's contorted in crazy positions.
Well, he's one of the gymnasts. Or whatever.
Yeah. He's like an absolute gymnast with
Wow.
it. And everyone stops what they're doing and just stares at him like, how is
Very
that possible?
shy.
He's like defying physics.
I would
It's pretty
probably get a
impressive.
membership just as entertainment so that I could
Yeah.
like sit in the back eating my hot dog and watch that.
Can you
Okay.
try on that next time, please?
I
Actually,
will. Yeah. Bit creepy, but yeah.
Yeah, we need to see this. Yeah, so but that, back to comparison, because we only see the best of what others have going on. There have been studies, and it can cause some major depression, like envy and feelings of inadequacy, and then it triggers mental illness. Like, truly, this has been scientifically proven that social media can, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't be on it, because it definitely can balance out. This is just something to keep in mind, that it will trigger mental illness, anxiety and depression, loneliness, fear of missing out, sleep issues, eating issues, for multiple reasons, depending on the types of accounts that you follow. But 44 million Americans, and this is just because I'm in America, but that's 1 in 5 people are diagnosed with mental illness. And if that's not enough, the final thing that I want to touch on with the bad is trolls.
yeah.
You guys, oh my gosh. I mean, we're all smart enough to know that people who sit behind a screen pouring out insults are very self-congratulatory, and we should take them with a grain of salt. But when they are the icing on the cake of so many of the already bad aspects that we just discussed, those comments start to really stand out, and the negative cycle repeats. These are things that I have received in just the last few months. You can see that I've only screenshot things from the past couple of months. These are from my YouTube, my my posts on Instagram, my Instagram lives. And it's just like, this is just what happens. And I'm not sharing this so that you feel bad for me. I'm sharing this because the larger that you grow, the more this is going to be a very big reality in your life.
Yeah.
And so
I'm still waiting for the day I can celebrate getting my first hater, because I'll be like, I've made it.
It's so true. And it all feels very personal, but that's where we can arm ourselves with that knowledge and knowing that that is just a part. And the sad thing is, the people who are sitting behind those screens and saying those things, usually it's behind a private profile. They aren't, it makes them feel better about themselves. So you have to kind of almost change the narrative and express some empathy and wonder, like, well, there might be something going on in that person's life where they're not feeling whole somewhere. And so
no one's like happy and confident and then be like, oh, I need to pop home and do trolling, but those comments were horrible. So let's flip that and say, screw those people, because you're wonderful and they suck.
I have a question for you, actually. Do you feel, and this is kind of both of you, seeing as you're both big on the old social media, do you feel that you have to be a certain type of person to be able to like really do the whole Instagram thing? Like, for example, if you were someone who struggles already with people who being horrible, like, if you were bullied at school or whatever, you're obviously going to find it difficult to deal with those people. They're not nice to deal with regardless. But do you feel like you have to have a certain personality to be able to even take the leap and go for this, knowing what kind of stuff you're going to get?
No, I don't. And I don't know if I would have been able to answer that unless I had a personal experience with somebody who went through something. So I know a gal who, she is the epitome of an introvert. She started, like, the internet's a really good place for introverts to hide and to be witty and to bring out the places. And I don't say hide, I mean to like, to be able to express themselves without the fear of instant reactions, body language, or hearing the way that somebody responds, things like that. Because that can be debilitating sometimes, but the internet is just a bunch of words. And so I met this person via the internet, and then I have met her several times outside of that, and it's night and day. So But the cool thing about that is that through what I have been doing, and she had been following me when she first got into just the idea of drawing. She's now a teacher. She's an educator now online. So she puts herself in front of the camera and teaches, and she's built her own community. And she does, she has I'm not going to say who it is just because I don't
Yes.
want to do
Yeah.
that, but she hosts, daily inspirational things on her stories and things like that to bring people along. And she's putting herself out there more and more and more, but she's just taking baby steps and doing it on her own agenda, which has helped her kind of come out of her shell, which is, it's an amazing thing to watch. And it's amazing to see how nervous she was to meet one-on-one versus now how she will just pour herself into these big names and extroverts when we all come together and actually meet in person. And she's just there and she's taking action. And I think that it's giving her a place to call hers, So, I mean, and that goes kind of into the next part of this is the opportunity to connect because like-minded people pursuing the same passion, like they're unstoppable. And I think they just need a safe place to do that. And so that's the nice thing about the social media aspect is that you're able to build community and do that in a place that feels safe to you. I hope that made sense. It's just my experience. I think that it'll come, but I think that, I think that the negativity will reach those of us who are much more bold with how we come across. I'm very, very bold, and I put opinions out there like they're breaths of air. Like if I have an opinion, you're getting it. It's just because it's not a negative opinion. It's like, I think this. Like, what do you guys think of this? But it's genuinely just because I like to chat and I like to talk about stuff like that. But it just depends on the person. But I think that that's a part of being authentic. She never ever faked who she was.
I was just going to say, if you always, put your opinions out there, that's because that's who you are. So you're not doing anything wrong in being you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The next thing about the good is that you can make allies out of your competition. So you can spin competition in your favor. I'm going to use an awesome example. I'm so excited about this still. Every time I share it, I just get so happy. I don't know if anybody knows Allie Koch. She is a muralist and a floral illustrator and an author. And she and I released a book on floral illustration.
Oh, yeah,
it's
great.
Time. Yeah, within like 2 weeks of each other. And we didn't know this was happening. I didn't know who she was. I don't think she knew who I was. And then this happened. And we, without even saying anything to each other ever, just immediately we were just enemies, like right away. Like we had this nasty feeling toward each other, even though we never shared anything about it, nothing. But my book was Botanical Line Drawing and hers was, I think, Modern Florals, How to Draw Modern Florals was her first one. And like they were very, very different books, but totally on the same topic. And competition is really scary, especially when it's our babies. Like when we put so much work into a project, and I can't even imagine hers because mine was self-published at the time. And so I could just press a button to publish it, whereas she had to wait, like she had to go back and forth with her editor and her publisher and like have to wait for the packaging. Like it is a long process. So, a few months, maybe a month went by and I could not stand it. I hate feeling tension. Like I can't deal. And so I reached out to her on Instagram and I was like, hey, so I think that you might feel this way too. And I don't like it. So how about we come together and we do a dual giveaway of both of our books and it's a win-win and maybe it'll squash some of this. And like, we didn't know what that meant for us, but we knew what it meant for our audiences, which definitely was a win-win. And I also thought that maybe it would work in my benefit a little as far as smoothing things over because I did have a larger audience. So I'm like, I don't want anything from you. I promise. I just want this tension to go away. So we did that, and then it just kind of slowly built into over time. We finally met in person at a conference where we were both teaching, and all this stuff, went down in person. And finally, now we're very, very close. And we just went to Alt Summit. We roomed together for an entire week. Like we're very good friends, and so it was awesome. So
I love that. And We just had, I think you know Becca from the Happy Ever Crafter.
Yeah, I love her.
She's great. We just had her on the Honest Designers Show podcast, and
Yeah.
Dustin was asking about competition because he really gets quite anxious about it and doesn't like it at all. And so he said to Becca, how do you deal with your competition? And she said, I rounded all of them up and I had them over for wine and cheese. And I just thought that was like
That's
the sweetest approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally is. That's exactly what you should do, because as soon as you break that ice, you realize like those are your people. Boom. Look at that. But those are your people, and those are the people who are going. I mean, like, there's no tension once you realize you're all after the same feeling. Like, why did we all start doing what we're doing? Because it gave us, you know, it made us feel good. It piques our interest, and there's nothing like sharing your interest or sharing something like that with a like-minded person. I mean, not everyone's going to understand this. My sister-in-law is so sweet, and she's so interested in what I'm doing, but her question is, like, I run a full business, guys. Her question when she comes over is, how's your art going? You know, like they just, like, the people who are our competitors are our greatest allies. We just don't know it. Like,
yeah,
they
more on your
get
way.
us. Yeah.
People are loving it in the comments as well. So Sharon said, how cool is that? Imagine how things would be if you did not reach out. You'd miss out on a lovely connection.
Yes.
And Angela's saying community over competition. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm saying we all have more in common than we realize. So
Also,
yeah,
like,
it's a healthier
together,
approach.
no? Like, if you're going to put two brains together, then that's always going to be better than one most of the time, because you're going for the same thing. So it's like double the effort, and you're going to be a stronger force combined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's no I in team, but there's an I in isolation.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that an original? Or?
Yeah, big time. Gonna copyright that.
I mean, it's real catchy, so you should.
Design that
and then,
for a free.
The last thing is a sense of pride. So when we can get ourselves, and this is like the girl I was talking about who is much more of an introvert, you know, when we do something that we have interest in and we build it and we learn about it, we practice it. I mean, so much practice and all this, you know, it goes into what we're doing. And when we can finally share that, it's feeling pride in what you're sharing with the world is empowering. And so that I think is really neat about mental health. But the biggest thing about that is when you share, when you ask questions in your caption and nobody responds. I did that for so long, you guys. Think about it when you ask a question to the world, like you're just putting a blanket question out there that will make people think. Don't expect a response. If you expect a response, it's going to just dull you down. Don't ever let somebody's likes or comments determine your worth, period. It's ugly.
Again, Peggy, when I was talking to Ian earlier, he was saying how it's so relative and it adjusts. So when you're starting out, you're like, oh my God, this post got 100 likes. That's awesome. And now he's like, oh no, this one only got 2,000 likes. And normally it's 6,000. And he feels terrible about it.
Yeah.
No,
and
it's so true. Crazy. And I went through a stage, and I hate to say it, but it was relatively recently, about, 4 months ago or something. But if I wasn't getting above 1,000, I was archiving them. And I hate to admit that, but it's just the truth. I'm like, oh, well, this sucked. I'm going to get rid of it because nobody liked that, or, you know, whatever. Even if it was something I was proud of, which was, you guys, frankly, it was bullshit. It's not something that we should ever do to ourselves. And so, you know, you got to put out what makes you happy. Why are we doing what we're doing? Because it makes us happy in our core. And that's that. So I want to talk about the best practices to maintain balance on social media between business and mental health. There's just 3 things. Brand recognition for business is to keep personal posts away from business posts. So that is more business oriented. Like, you know, you can put a picture of your dinner up, but maybe don't put so many pictures of your dinner up. It will kind of ruin the business part.
I feel like people don't really do that as much anymore, do they? I haven't seen a good old dinner post for a while. It's kind of phased out slightly now.
Maybe it's just because we're surrounded by designers and creators.
I'm like, no, know, because I do Instagram audits and one-on-one coaching calls, and it's definitely not phased out.
Oh, really? Because I just don't
Yeah.
even on my own personal Instagram, like I never see that anymore.
I think it's more in stories now. I mean, I have been
I
known
know,
to
that's
frequent the
great.
old, crispy tofu going on in my stories.
But stories are great though, because that's when people can see behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But then staying consistent enough to post often enough that your audience can look forward to regular content, because it builds the brand loyalty. I know that Tom and I have talked about how I don't do this with my emails and I need to get better at it. But anyway, it is a good practice. And then word of mouth, you can capitalize on that because it's your most valuable asset. And then for mental health, limit the time spent. I say 10 minutes per platform because it gives me enough time to post, respond to messages and comments, and maybe.
I don't know how you do that for the record. I have to.
That's insane. I've never heard of anyone do so little.
Yeah,
like time wise.
Yeah, it's like super efficient by the sound of it.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
struggle with an hour a day. I don't get everything done on one platform.
Oh, I hear you, but I hear that. I totally hear that. I think that my 10 minutes a day is when I'm sitting down and I could have other work to do. That's my 10 minutes to really fully focus. I'm not including all the times that I have to wait in line. Waiting in line is my best thing ever because I can, I'm so impatient and I used to hate waiting in line, but now I totally take advantage of it. I'm like, oh, you're asking me to wait for 15 minutes? No problem. And then I get in and I respond to all my messages. And it's just the best thing. So
I'm picturing you in an elevator that's broken down. Everyone around you's having panic attacks, and you're like, "This is fantastic! I'm catching up on my DMs."
It's exactly what happens. I have no problem with it. So it's kind of good. I have legitimately. I'm not just saying. I hate when people use the mental health stuff for. Oh, I have OCD or something, but I legitimately have ADHD. So I would go crazy on an elevator. I would try to find something to do. Now, no problem at all. But then focusing on connection because we crave humanity. So that is being authentic, like what we've all talked about. Tom's example of Ian's example is really, really good. And then creating community to provide an authentic, safe space and showing genuine interest in what people share. So that said, I'm going to get out of the screen here, but real quick, just a shameless promo here. I do have a link that you can go to that will give you a 40-page ebook on how to effectively use hashtags.
Ooh, look at that. I'll tell you what. So thepigeonletters.com/design codes.
Tom's just going to hook that up in the comments, I believe, or the link below.
Yeah. And it's really good, guys, and it's free. But so good. So you should get that. Thank you so much for listening to my spiel. I'm going back to our faces now because this is driving me crazy.
No problem.
How do I do it? Oh, right here.
The little X, yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah, I'm going to update the button. And, we like to talk creativity. So is that a 40-page ebook, you said?
Mm-hmm. 40-page ebook on how to effectively use hashtags. There's a worksheet in there and everything, and it's basically it's going to I guarantee or your free money back. It will level up at least your Instagram game. Guarantee it.
Perfect.
Hashtags are
right. If you see below the video, shiny green button. And everyone pay attention there. Did you see how Peggy had her URL, her website, /design cuts? Little personal touch like that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
It's the way to give people that little extra effort.
Just those little things really take you there.
Peggy, I don't know if you've ever done this. I love the approach of also when you buy a custom domain. So when I went on The Future recently, we actually got, I think it was thefuturebundle.com. And so rather than having to give them like a longer address, because we can't do URLs as easy as you, I was like, everyone just go to the Future Bundle. And it was super easy for them.
Yeah.
So that's like another hack for you.
Yeah, that's really smart.
So I can see that we've just got the one question in, guys. So I don't know what's going on with you.
Well, everyone's been listening along. That's what happens with the presentation, I've noticed, and then the questions come after.
So yeah, please do get your questions in. I'm just going to read the one that we've got there at the moment from Amy. Hey, Amy, thanks for joining us again this week. Amy said this might be touched on as we go through the chat, but how do you maintain consistency with posting when you're just not feeling it, i.e. motivate to post every day?
I don't think that every day is necessary anymore. You will hear a podcast that I was on a long time ago. I think about this so much, you guys, and I'm like, first I was trying to reach 50,000 followers. Like I wanted it so bad. I just wanted that 50 so bad. And he asked me how many times I posted, how frequently, and I was like, usually, like, this was when algorithm wasn't happening, by the way. And I was like 2 to 3 times a day, which is insane, I know. But at the time, I'm like, but I'm doing like 5 now, like every 2-3 hours. I think about this so much, and I'm so embarrassed by anyone who ever listens to it. And people still listen to it because they email me and they're like, that was great. I'm like, no, it wasn't, because I that damn number. No, so I don't think it's necessary anymore. People, things are showing up way later. 6 days later. I want to know what's over there, guys. Come on. What's over there you keep doing?
So we are listening. Someone was trying to burst in the office and I was like, you need to be quiet. I think it was like it was like a delivery guy or something.
Yeah,
I think I was looking, be like, please don't start coming in with a giant package or something, because it's going to be really disruptive.
I love
Sorry, we are listening. Go ahead.
So yeah, I don't think that every day is necessary. So I wouldn't even worry about it. I think that it's every 3 days is great. Every 4 days is great. I think that it's just like do something consistent enough. Like there's days I post every day and there's days that I wait 4 days, but I just don't want it to lapse into 2 weeks or something like that, Yeah. I just went on a vacation for 3 weeks and still managed to post every 4 days or so. I wasn't very responsive, but I did put, I put something up so that it was up, but it didn't do it. But as far as motivation, I hear you on that. But that's something that, like, you might have something old sitting around, or you might have something half finished, or you might have a blank piece of paper. And if you just take a picture of your pencil and a blank piece of paper and you put it up there and say, guys, I'm not feeling it. And I'm just putting it out in the world because I'm not feeling it. And you've all been there. I'm there right now. And like, I can't tell you, that is like the number one thing we can definitely all relate to.
100%. I actually have a question while other people are hopefully thinking up their own.
I'm just going to grab another link for the chat whilst you're doing that, Tom. So ignore my face zoomed in.
So Peggy, I don't know if anything will kind of spring to mind, but over the years you've been doing this, you've obviously amassed this bigger audience, not just on Instagram, but on your website and your community. Have there been any kind of pivotal points along that journey that have been like a big inflection point for you, where it's really started to take off, or it's taken a big jump up, or has it been more of a like very slow, steady thing the whole time?
Honestly, well, for me, I think it really depends on what you're doing.
Oh, you just got the Anne Hathaway comment.
I did, yeah.
You told me before you had this. No. You had this a bunch of times. And can I say, not very happy with that, because that's the most like amazing comparison. Anne Hathaway's beautiful.
She is.
When I was on The Future, I just got the weird looking guy from the American Office from about 4 different people. I was like, great.
My sister was like, he looks like that guy from The Office. And I'm like, who? And she pulled up the picture, the American Office.
Yeah.
She pulled up the picture and I died. Like, I could kind of.
I don't know who that is. You'll have to show me.
Trust me, it's not flattering.
I luckily don't get told that I look like anybody. So that's.
Can everyone blow up the comments if they think SJ is having a remarkably strong hair day?
Don't. I feel like I've got like a lion's mane going on today. It's just getting bigger as the day goes on.
The strongest hair.
My hair was that yesterday, and then I didn't wash it this morning. Usually day 2 is way better, and it wasn't. So here it is.
I had it in plaid, so I took them out, and this is what happened.
Your hair looks lovely too, Peggy, although the connection, weirdly, when you share your screen, it's super sharp. When it's on your face, you're like pixelated.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make out the...
Oh, well, I'm glad about that, because all I see is your guys' skin looks absolutely beautiful, and then mine's like red and splotchy because I'm too lazy to put on foundation for everybody. Sorry, it's just my truth.
And Brenda, I can see you in the comments. I used to like you, Brenda. We used to have a thing. Not anymore.
And no, Angela, I haven't been in the sun. I've got fake tan.
Your hair color too is really making it. The thing I love about your hair color with waves is that it shows dimension and depth. And so it's like everybody wants that. They don't know why they want it, but I did hair. I did hair for 10 years, you guys. Like, I'm all about the hair and it looks awesome.
Thank you.
I am so out of focus. You guys, this is my brain. Like, it's so bad. This is what I deal with. How I run it, nobody knows. To answer your question, Tom.
Yes.
Sorry, we got sidetracked talking about hair there.
No, like, you blame it on me. It's them. No. So it just depends on what you're doing, I think. I've had spikes, but I've had spikes that I have orchestrated, if you will. And then I've had slow and steady wins the race. If I were to do everything differently, I would go slow and steady wins the race, hands down, 100%.
I guess what I was looking for, like, apart from just continually putting work out there, is there anything you could share with the audience where it's like, here are some good things that have worked for me over the years that really helped me grow?
Yes. Well, it depends on what you're doing. Like, growing on social, growing on your website, growing on your platform, growing on X.
Yeah, I guess just amassing that overall audience around what you're doing, because I think it's so admirable what you've done. But I also think for a lot of people, it's quite intimidating. It's like, well, I could never build this big thing. So I guess it's just shifting that mindset.
Yeah, okay. Myself, when I present myself as a human to another human, I have been told that I exude confidence. And this is something that I'm like, but are you inside of my body? Do you know what's happening in here right now? But I think it just mine is a fight or flight. So I was really blessed and I had to grow up a little bit early. When I say I was blessed, it's because I wasn't, but I turned it into something that made it so that I was. And then years and years and years later, I finally decided how to effectively use these coping mechanisms because they didn't work for a while. But I think, it all comes down to authenticity, like you can go on and say like, hey, this stuff makes me so nervous, but you don't have to be in a nervous, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it deposition? Disposition, thank you.
Yeah, we're going legal then.
Look at me knowing big words as well.
Yeah, nice.
I'll be the first person to say I completely misuse words all the time, but I also
I do that a lot.
I ask the dumb questions, and I'm like, I know this isn't a dumb question because there's no such thing as dumb questions, and everyone's like, that's kind of a dumb question. And I'm like, you know what? No, it wasn't to me. So, but I think that like it's just an authentic place. Like, I know that I keep using the word authentic, but like that's the best thing that you can do. I was doing what everybody else was doing when I first started. I remember you were talking about, having the conversation of like Ian got so excited about 100 likes. And then now, that comparison, I was so excited when it got to the point of like so-and-so, and 7 others. And it wasn't just the 3 names. Like, that's what I was excited. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like
my best friend.
like, oh my God.
My mom. And other people.
Yeah. It was cool. And I remember I was stoked when I reached 300 people. Like this was exciting. Even if they were half of the people that knew me already and were supporting, that was exciting to me. I always catered to who was there. And I wasn't trying to seek more. Because if you try to seek more, then what about the people who are loyal to you? What about the people who are like engaging with you? Why are you looking for something bigger and better when you can just relate right now? Like, what are you searching for? Like, why are you looking to fill what is missing when you have something really valuable right in front of you? It doesn't matter what the scale is. It's valuable right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you keep that mindset, then it's easier to effortlessly flow in an organic and authentic way. So a lot of this is mindset, because I could say all day long, like, present yourself this way, but that's also going to be manufactured if you think of it that way. So if you remember why you started and you keep these mindsets for your own mental well-being, then everything else falls into place naturally. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. And obviously everyone needs to be themselves. If you're trying to break into the scene, don't go and start drawing botanicals and get tattoos. It's not going to work for you.
Are you trying to ask me about specific business tactics?
No, it was more like a holistic thing. So yeah, that makes complete sense.
Like, I could get into that, but I didn't know that.
No, not at all. So I really hate this, but I have to run personally in about 5 minutes because we had to switcheroo the Honest Designers recording. So we're recording tonight instead of Wednesday. But do you mind if we go quick fire for like the last few minutes, Peggy? Is that cool?
Do what?
Like quick fire questions, just kind of.
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool.
He says this, and then it ends up being another 20 minutes. Just
I can't. I need to go. I need to go do the podcast. Okay,
the guys in the chat know you by now, Tom. Come on.
Yeah. Amy says, do you veto your content or have criteria you check it against before posting? I.e., sometimes torn that it's not adding value or interest. So I guess, is there a filter where you put your posts through before sharing them with the world?
Yeah,
or it's
totally.
done quite methodically?
Yeah. So you guys, Color Story app, download it. The filters that I like to use primarily are like, it's sugar at 50%, and then sometimes like 10% January. Just remember that. But Color Story, because what it does is it just brightens things up. It gets a nice crisp white and then enhances color just a little bit. It makes things so easy. But the reason why I say to do this is because although we don't want to do, it's hard because it's like, oh, you want to stay authentic, but you also want your brand to speak, and you'll have 2 seconds to get people's attention. If it has bad light, forget it.
Yeah.
If you're not on Skillshare already, then Skillshare.com/r/the pigeon letters, you'll find this blasted all over my website. I have a 15-minute class on producing the very best flat lays to showcase your work. And it'll show you tricks and things to get better lighting, like using a trifold poster board to bounce shadows and things like that. So
very cool.
That's my fire answer.
That leads on to Heidi's question. And Heidi asks, I love your Skillshare classes. Getting all the love from Heidi there. Can you talk about what got you started in Skillshare? Do you teach on any other platforms? How much of your energy do you spend on developing your teaching?
Yeah. Okay. Fire answer is I got started in Skillshare because it was when I wanted to start creating stuff just for fun. And so I joined the platform for something completely unrelated. I was teaching myself modern calligraphy at the time based off of my 9th grade traditional calligraphy. So I was learning to break the rules to then form them. At the time, people were asking me all about it in my personal life. And Skillshare sent out a Teach Challenge newsletter blast. I decided to do it. I won. And the rest is history. So that was how I got started in it. Do I teach on other platforms? No. I mean, I kind of do, but not. Skillshare is where it's at. Brit & Co, I do have a couple of exclusive classes. How much energy do I spend on developing teaching? It depends. I used to do a lot more, and now I've increased my production value, so it's a little bit better, easier and prettier to watch. So now one class, about 40-minute class, will take me about 2 weeks.
Amazing.
Wow.
And I think we sadly probably only have time for one final question, but are you happy if people post any other questions that come to them after on Instagram or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Any way that's easy. Instagram, if it's not on the most recent post, I probably won't see it, but feel free to email me too at hello@thepigeonletters.com. I'm happy to.
And am I right in saying that you joined our Facebook group?
I sure
Did
did.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
nice.
thought I saw that.
You guys, I'm really bad at Facebook, but I'm trying to get better.
Okay. I was like, I'm sure I saw that earlier in the week. I was
No,
like,
no,
you
no,
have to join in the group.
Do it, and I will check. I'm making an effort to check at least once or twice a week. I'm really bad at it, but I'm trying to get better. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Peggy can be found in the Facebook group. If you all and message her enough, then she'll see it.
Yes, I think it was Angela who asked, do you ever teach in Seattle?
Teach in Seattle. I do occasionally. I don't do a lot of in-person workshops at specific places because I travel. Yeah. But if I do, you can always check on my workshops page on my website, and right now it's just New York. So don't look because that's all that is up there. And then probably more toward the fall will I do something again. I know Seattle's on my list. It's very close to me, so it should be, but yeah.
Final question from me before we go, and I know Barbara has the same question, but I was just keeping it. Is this wallpaper that you've done yourself?
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask. I know I saw that.
That is insane.
This is acrylic paint.
Wow.
Damn.
So,
And you did it. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I also feel like that would be an amazing print on like a dress or something. The colors are like, I'm in love with this.
That's my goal right now. If we could just go ahead and put it in the universe that someone needs to license my work for pattern, surface pattern. I want that.
Any pattern designers in the comment section. Peggy, thank you so much for jumping on today.
Yeah, it's been lovely to meet you as well. I know
you
obviously you already knew Tom, but it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
You're the best.
So much.
We appreciate you sharing, and yeah, let's blow up the comments for Peggy, everyone. Thank you for sharing so openly. Everyone in the office, let's give it up to Peggy. Well done.
That was I enjoyed that one.
I like that.
Oh, can we go home now?
Cool. Thank you so much. I'll hopefully we get to talk soon.
Yeah.
Also, this is shameless on my behalf. I hope you don't mind. It just popped in my head. I'm not going to be here next week, I don't think, because I'm doing my first ever workshop. So anyone who's at Birmingham Design Festival in the UK, come and say hi. Sign up for the workshop.
That's so fun.
I don't know if anyone is going to be there. We don't have that many UK people, but it would be lovely to hang out.
And make sure you're nice to me because I've got to do the hangout without Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to see if I can rope someone else into doing it with me.
I think that you can hold it on your own so well. I can see it right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, she can.
Yeah.
She doesn't need me.
No.
I just get worried that I get too carried away. We just end up chatting about nothing for an hour.
That's me. That's the story of my life. Anyone that schedules a call with me, like, oh, you think it's going to be 30 minutes? Better make that 90. Tom knows. Okay.
We've done well actually today then.
Yeah, we've been pretty good. Peggy, thank you again. Everyone, be sure to click the button below this video. Go and follow Peggy on all the profiles. Check out her website. She does some really good stuff, some amazing resources, books, teaching. There's a lot going on there outside of what we discussed today. So go and check her out.
Thank you very much. We'll see you guys same time next week. Well,
right.
I will. He won't.
I will
He'll
miss
watch
you,
the
though.
replay.
I'll miss you guys. See you later.
Thanks,
Peggy.
Bye.
Bye.